Hello, everybody, and welcome to Board with Fins, a casual podcast about board games and tabletop nonsense, with the added whimsy that some of us may or may not be finished, but will never, ever tell you. My name is Tom, I am one of your hosts, but luckily, it's not just me. Because next door to the studio is the understudy group for Finland's Eurovision entry. They've just finished rehearsing, and I've grabbed two of the performers and dragged them into the studio to talk about board games. Wait a minute. It's Simon and Iita. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello. We were just in the middle of doing the human centipede kind of a thing.
Jesus Christ, that took a real turn from what I was...
Have you not seen the...
No, I just do this ironically.
No, because also I was going to say I would love to have the green top thing that he wears.
That really works on you.
Yeah.
And there's a bit in the show where the dancers make this kind of like a human centipede train thing, and then he rides it and goes like.
It's not a human centipede. It is a
look. Sorry, I'm just human, and the phrase "a human centipede" sounds certain alarm bells in my mind.
All right.
As it should.
It's people on their knees who kind of make a train.
Oh, people train. Yeah.
It's like a people.
That's
train.
much
it's
more.
the kids thing that they like. It's what it's supposed to evoke. Is the children playing around.
Is it?
I don't know.
The whole song is about just getting blackout drunk.
Yeah, it's a really great song. It's a fucking banger.
I'm wondering when this will come out, and if it just flukes.
It
this
cannot.
Is the actual...
There's so much hype for it.
It is literally
no, I mean this episode and Eurovision.
Yeah, if the song flukes. Or
No. I mean as in if people are listening to this episode right now, and minutes afterwards, Eurovision is going to be on.
Oh,
that would be great.
If we've synced it up so well. It won't happen because I don't plan these things.
It's the Eurovision episode.
Yeah,
of the board,
of course.
Of the board.
And what is Eurovision?
What is the most Eurovision-y board game, in your opinion?
Well, the key is cooperation.
Oh, the segue.
No, actually, but now
seamless,
now
yes.
I do want to hear what Iita's Eurovision board game is.
I was going to say Wonderland's War just because you guys have told me so much about the aesthetic of it and it being huge. It's too big, it's too pretty, and it's everything might explode, and it's opulent and it might explode in your face if you push your luck too much.
True. Is there actually Eurovision the board game?
I'm sure there is.
Probably.
Okay. I would probably say that one then. That would be my.
Then again, I would say that the most Eurovision movie isn't the Eurovision movie, so therefore.
What?
I couldn't finish it, and I'm a huge Eurovision fan.
Why the one with Will Ferrell?
Yeah.
Wait,
why not?
I thought it was an Icelandic guy. He's such a good actor.
I liked it.
They gave me the cringe in a level that I couldn't deal with.
I mean, there is a certain percentage of cringe that must come with Eurovision.
But it's a different kind of cringe.
That was the whole point, though. The point was that
I know, but I like Eurovision, and I didn't like the cringe.
Moving on from this togetherness.
Yes,
I didn't like that these little elves in Iceland just killed that guy.
Wow, spoilers for actual Eurovision.
At the end of the movie, there are these elves that live in Iceland, and they just kill a guy.
Is it elves or is it the fairies?
Elves or fairies, whatever.
It's elves in Iceland, yeah.
Okay.
Whatever, magical thingies.
Look, I don't know. I'm just trying to be, true to the law.
But I was in Iceland, and for a very small
moment, you
moment,
didn't get killed.
No, I didn't get killed, but a very small moment, I considered going to the Eurovision museum that they put into the town where the movie was. But then I looked at it, and it turns out it is a one room at the bottom floor of the lobby of a hotel in there that just full on just cashing in on the movie thing.
Shocking.
I think if you've seen the movie, and this has gone really off the rails, and because it's such a tiny, the movie, it's such a tiny town where nothing happens. I think it's thematically on point if the museum for the thing is just a room that someone's just put a picture.
Yes.
If you were expecting a 6-story extravaganza of Eurovision history.
They haven't built a Guggenheim museum there.
Yeah.
For Eurovision, they should have.
And he's just 0 stars. 0 stars on
so instead we went
Yahoo.
to the penis museum because
much better.
Yeah. No, very dry actually.
Zing.
Time well spent.
That was also your review left on Yelp. Very dry. Very dry. How would you describe this penis museum? Dry.
Surprisingly dry. It's still
surprisingly dry.
Yeah. And then it's just underneath is the museum is pointing to me well, you're not really supposed to eat them.
It's please stop touching all of the penises.
Yeah,
that's why I was banned for life from the Icelandic Penis Museum. Already a great title for the episode.
Yeah.
It'll say nothing about what we're going to
Yeah. Which of us was banned for life from an Icelandic Penis Museum, and why?
Tune in. Spoilers, it's obviously Iita.
You can always tell when this is the second episode of the day.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking
We
about?
record these live minutes before I put them on Spotify.
This is not.
How dare you? How dare you say the magic of Hollywood is ruined now? Ruined.
We were talking about games that are cooperative, not because of Eurovision, but just in general.
Yes, because say you want to bring out a game, but I don't want to fight you. I don't want to have an intelligence contest. I don't want to bring out a chessboard and have a scrap with you. I want us to work together against the game. And luckily, modern board games have quite a few options for doing that.
That's true.
So we're going to chat through some co-op games. Well, ones that I like. I don't know if I'm going to say that, and then everyone else is like, "That's a terrible game, Tom." I hate every time that we play that. I hate co-op games.
Well, not all of them.
Not all, just most.
Yeah.
Just
Just
most.
the ones Tom likes. Yeah, but I think this is also one thing that comes up, that you don't want to play adversarial games with Ruby.
This is true.
Then that's why you play quite a lot of co-op games.
Yeah, because I kind of like the idea of not actively fighting someone that I live with, even though she does like the fight.
She does like kicking the shit out of you in a
Yeah.
game. That's why it's like, yeah.
But yeah, I get a bit more Care Bear. So I like the let's all work together against the game.
I very recently said to someone after we've been playing Diplomacy, and I got absolutely ganked in it because I'm just very like, I realized that I am too nice to people, and I'm like, any game can be cooperative if you try hard enough.
Well,
this is like,
Yeah, but doesn't
No.
that prove that isn't the case?
It's cooperative, but cooperative against someone else. Like you can team up, but I don't know. A co-op game is like everyone.
yeah, I know exactly. But my point is mostly that I'm also a goddamn Care Bear, and then I just end up trying to be nice to everyone, and then I've talked about this in TI at the end when someone is really winning and we're trying to like stop them from winning.
Yeah.
And I just forget that I should be also playing my own game. So maybe co-op games are good for me because that impulse is actively encouraged and actually moves the game forward.
Yeah, you need to read more like Sun Tzu or Machiavelli. You know, if it's a choice between being feared and being loved,
You should always be feared, yes.
always be feared, and then put that into board games that we play with friends.
Yes, because we're all very tactical gamers who want to just like win instead of like.
Well, I mean, I don't hate winning. It just it's
You
pretty
do
rare now.
win quite often though.
Everyone says that.
Play games.
Yeah,
Dunno.
we all feel like you win quite a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a
true.
weird kind of impression that I must give off, but I can't remember.
All right. I wish I would have kept stats.
Yeah,
Yeah, we should start doing.
Like
no, that's
true,
terrible.
like true gamers.
Yeah.
Played this game.
Who wins and with how many points? How many
God.
victory points?
Jesus, that would be such a disappointing spreadsheet for your old pal Tom. Go.
I don't think I win many games either.
Yeah, but you get close, and then you lose the fire. You lose the passion.
Exactly. I'm not I don't have the final cutthroat energy, and that's again why I think co-op games may be the place I should be excelling at.
Because you do so well, and the only thing you bug out on is quietly sidling up to someone and then slitting their throat.
Yeah.
You'd never do it. Metaphorically, of course. In real life, you'd do that.
No. I don't do backstabbing. I just do stabbing.
Yes, exactly. Which is your weakness that we all exploit.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't really know like the timeline of stuff, but like I guess the biggest kind of co-op game that most gamers and non-gamers would know, I'm going to throw this out there, is probably Pandemic. At least it's the most successful co-op game.
I think you're right. I don't know if that's like the first one. Like I don't know if that's the
I
Catan
doubt.
of co-op games, but
It would be incredible if they get it that correct on such an early like co-op game. But I also cannot think of anything that would have preceded it on that like in that space.
And full disclosure, I haven't Googled anything.
No, me neither.
I'm using facts the American way by just assuming that whatever I say is correct.
yeah. And you're just saying you feel like it's the thing, and if you say that, then you can say
It's
whatever
a
you
gut
want.
fact.
Yeah.
But at least it is like I do know that it is the highest rated co-op game on the like BGG list because I was just looking at this recently.
Yeah,
Unless you count Gloomhaven, which I don't.
Yeah, well, kind of.
Yeah.
I guess it's a
Kind
kind of a co-op game. It's a different kind of board game.
Did you see how many like Pandemic spin-offs and expansions?
Yeah.
Like how many? Like literally how many? Because in my mind, it's like easily a dozen.
I was just looking at the top, let's say top 20 or something, and they
Okay.
already had multiple in it, and it's just like
Because I know that there's at least like 3 full expansions for the base game. They've got like the 3 legacy versions of it, like season 1, season 2, and then oddly enough, season 0. And then like all the weird like what was in the first episode we were talking about like Rome, and it was just like it's like Pandemic except with genocide and slavery. Like great, that's what Pandemic needed.
Paolo Moore is.
He's done it again.
Design.
He's done it again. There's like a Cthulhu Pandemic. I know I've played that.
Oh yeah, I
once.
played that.
I have
Yeah,
not
it's
played that.
Super, but it's like
Isn't
obviously the core mechanic is pretty fucking solid if people can like keep kind of playing.
Yeah. Well, the core mechanic is sort of you have a map usually of the world in these games, and then you all can play a character, and you can move around on the map, and then have to put out fires, kill monsters, do something bad things are happening to the world, and you have to stop it. But one person can't do it at the same time, so you have to discuss stuff like, oh, well, I'm closer to these monsters, so I'll go there and do this. While you can do this. Maybe you can get us more resources, and we can meet up here and share them.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a different type of like gaming experience that you don't like. Well, obviously you don't get with any other games, because then you actually just have to like hive mind it.
Yeah.
To win the
It takes
game.
multiple people. I guess the kind of, and what I'm talking about, I guess what we're going to talk about here is more like, or what I would like to keep talking about, but we got off the rails anyway, is kind of more pure co-op games, not like this new breed of like semi-co-op games, where like there may be a traitor among you kind of doing it.
The Dead of Winter.
Dead of Winter.
We don't need to talk about those, but I really like that addition to it of having
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Like,
but if I'm in the mood for
Unfathomable, for example, where like one person is that will be potentially the traitor at some point.
Yeah. Again, I love those games, and I own at least 2 of those games, like Dead of Winter and Unfathomable. And like maybe we can come back for hidden traitor ones, because I know has Shadows over Camelot, which is like the first kind of traitor semi-co-op game, and I want to go back and kind of play the OG one.
Yeah.
But like I wouldn't equate them as co-op games, because I think the experience
very
is
different.
Yeah.
Just the fact that there might be a traitor is enough to change the game.
Yeah. So I think if I was in the mood for a co-op game, I don't think I would bring out something with a potential traitor or a definite traitor, because I think that's a different kind of vibe. But yeah, I guess the kind of the core tenet of co-op game is that you're working together, and there are many ways to lose, but there's only one way to win. That's pretty much it. So pandemic, topical or not, as it may be still, different diseases represented by cubes, beautiful shape, once again invented by board games, are spreading around to cities, and you can use your actions to move around and sort of clear up and cure these diseases. That's the kind of the game. So you win if you find the cure for all the diseases, but the game wins if there's too many outbreaks, if you run out of cubes, if certain things are lost, like if a deck ends. So there's an inherent like kind of ticking clock, and there's many ways that you can fuck up and lose. And that's kind of the overarching thing for a lot of co-op games, I think, is there's one particular thing that needs to happen to win, and a lot of things can fuck up and make it wrong. And generally, especially with the old ones, it should be hard to win.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I think the more modern co-op games have gone a bit more Care Bear, but definitely the old sort of co-op games can be incredibly brutal.
But I think, like, they kind of, in my opinion, they kind of have to be, because if you're not competing against other people, like, the challenge is, like, if we're all collecting victory points for ourselves, then obviously, like, the challenge is getting more victory points than you guys. But if we're all working together, there's, like, a point that we have to do to win. And if that's too easy, then the game is, like, then there's not really anything to game. Like, there's nothing to play against if it's just like, well, it doesn't matter what I do. I'm just going to move around.
Eventually we will win.
I'm going to do the actions that I can do. I'll just do an action, and it doesn't matter because we will win.
It has to be stressful
at some point. It has to be like, it has to be like sometimes you just can't win. It's like you just got the cards out in the wrong order, and you got too fucked in the beginning, and like there's no way to like
It's also like it kind of mathematically it works in that, like, if you have a 4-player board game and you're not gonna win more than, like, let's say, if it's an equal game situation, then it's like 1 out of 4 games, and that's the same about with, I think, for like co-op games, you shouldn't win every game.
No, I think I think it would be quite dull.
I
think it would be quite dull. I mean, you can, especially with base game Pandemic, and spoiler, I've played like season 1 of the Pandemic Legacy and base game, but with no expansions. And the expansions add some crazy shit into it, like mini games to cure things. Like there's a lot of add-ons to the board, so I can't really speak to that because again, I'm kind of like, if I want to play Pandemic, I kind of like the pure kind of system. But you can tailor it to make it easier or harder, right? Like you can put in more epidemic cards. And these are kind of the spice in the game where you're constantly picking up good cards that help you win the game. But in this, like, landmines are just cards that basically throw off the plans, that cause outbreaks, that mean that places that have had outbreaks or have had disease cubes now can get reinfected. And it just makes the game harder. So by having more of these cards, then you get the game harder for yourself. So I guess there is this kind of you can pick your level of how screwed you want to feel at any point in the game.
How stressed you want to be, yeah.
Yeah, just go, oh no, please, not another epidemic.
But like Pandemic is one of those games that I've played a bit of, and every time it's like I would like to play more Pandemic. It is just like it's something that I've thought about for quite a long time, but it just kind of again never seems to come up.
But only the Rome version.
No,
and we don't look too far why either.
Definitely just that. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's obviously super popular. Like the fact that there's been so many versions of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you think about the like mechanics that Pandemic has, it has the co-op game, like fighting the things and splitting your forces and having to optimize it together. But it also has those events. It has those epidemic cards.
Mm-hmm.
Is the epidemic cards or the event cards and the unpredictability of that what makes Pandemic so loved? Or is because I'm thinking of other co-op games that I've played, and some of them just don't have that. They seem a lot more like just optimizing your actions and...
I mean, it's kind of, but co-op games is a mixture of like optimizing efficiency and then hoping the game doesn't really fuck you.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely games of Pandemic where you're like, oh, it's like we're just being kicked from turn one. Like certain games you can't win. And then other ones you just kind of waltz. So this is like a potential downside, I guess, for all co-op games is just because of the setup of random chances or like where you guys are. And usually in co-op games, you do have some asymmetric kind of powers, like in Pandemic. So you could be good at curing things, you're better at like researching things, getting cards of a particular color, and certain like just through random chance, which is it's unavoidable, I guess, for something that isn't being DM'd or actively fought against you. Then you're playing odds at some point. So yeah, you can. I've had like terrible games of Pandemic and stuff like that.
Another potential downside to me, at least, is that for corporate games, everyone needs to be kind of equally into it. Because if you're playing like in general, also like you want everyone to be into the game you're playing, even if you're playing for yourselves. But in a corporate game, it quite easily becomes that everyone else is playing someone's turns for them, and they're just kind of along for the ride if they're not into it.
I am very adamant that I try not to do that because I also don't like it.
Yeah.
And I think it comes from people that like go into a game if you're expecting a game to be competitive, and some people are just very competitive. And then if you, in a co-op game, you're kind of taking that away from them. And then they have to actively, then they're making the game the bad guy, and then you are just accessories to them being competitive with the game.
Yeah.
This is, I don't think that is my thing, but at the same time, I find myself being the person who optimizes games. Like, I just
like,
see the, like...
You should do this!
Yeah, like, if you do this, and this round, then next round we can do this. Like, I can just, like, I'm unavoidably looking
That's why
at
you're a horrible person.
I know. It's one of the many reasons. But, like...
He just loves a serious economic, like, engine builder where you can math out several turns in a row.
Because I don't understand why my brain does this to me.
Your brain does it.
Like,
maybe it's telling you that you should be into Brass Birmingham and Agricola.
Yeah. I think, You're a heavy Euro gamer. You just don't know it yet.
Currently, I'm just here and ruining co-op games by being like this backseat gamer.
Because I kind of I'm glad you brought it up. I was gonna bring up this thing of like it can tend to be like that someone sort of says out loud of this is what we're supposed to like do. You should do this, and then like some on your turn, then it might be that it almost feels like you're not really playing a game. Like you don't get to play a game because it's like, well, it's just obvious that I now need to. I'm stuck in this position where I just have to keep doing this, and
that's true.
I don't get to do a decision I don't get to do anything fun. I just get to like I'm here because I'm good at healing stuff. So I'm moving now between London and New York here, and I do this. Oh, it's my turn. Well, I move here. I buy this, and I move back, and that's what I do for the whole game.
But I think that's also depends on the game a lot because I think
it does. But I'm saying that like I'm just lifting up like negatives that I think of.
But these are
which are legitimate
right?
things. If someone just ends up being like, well, I am either gonna die or I'm just gonna do nothing because this is the only way. This is the best way I can help. So the only thing I can do, like optimize it, is for me to move between those things and like buy more save cubes or whatever you need to do.
I can definitely see it, and this is like again how you approach the game and what you're kind of expecting. But like if you go into a co-op game and you want to be the MVP every game, that probably won't. So if you're interested in like kind of the story of like I don't know, sort of afterwards going, well, I personally did fuck all, but I'm happy to be part of an experience where like at least we held on. Like it was just me fighting back the fires here, which allowed you to go there to have that Hail Mary kind of pass. But if you play a cooperative game to be like the best player on the team, and like to bring it into video games, like being like, you know, if you're a League of Legends or a Dota player and you're like, well, you know, I'm the carry here, I carried all of you. It's like, well, okay, maybe this is not the spirit of cooperative gaming
Yeah.
that you're expecting.
Speaking of, this is going to be a tangent. I'm sorry. There's I
Go
can't
for it,
remember
go for it.
I can't remember what the game is called, but there's like an
Breaking Bad, the game.
no, but that probably exists.
Yeah.
But there's a game that's like not an MMORPG. It's like whatever Dota's and those games are.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
but
So there's a
thing,
board
yeah.
game of that. Someone's made that, and
What?
it's like you play like 4v. You played 4v4, so you need
Yeah.
eight people, and then like a
Holy
bunch.
shit.
And there's a bunch of characters
Yeah.
that you can choose, and there's like all this there's like snipers and like healers and stuff, and then you all like on your turn there's turns,
Yeah.
and then you do things, and then they do things, and it's like it's a MOBA basically.
MOBA, yeah.
Yeah,
MOBA,
MOBA
that's
is
the
it,
word.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a tabletop MOBA that someone's
That's
made,
super
and there's like
weird.
25 different characters that you can choose from, and they're all like niche and have their powers and have
Yeah.
synergy. It's like playing League of Legends, but on tabletop.
But isn't like League of Legends is like okay, this is now
Or
going to,
any of the other
No,
ones.
but like it's basically tower defense with extra bits.
How dare you.
Oh my goodness!
All of South Korea has just screamed out in pain at the same
No
time.
wonder we're not getting any listeners from that. You've ruined our chances.
all their
before
fears have
that-
come true.
Right before that big marketing campaign we were going to have there.
Oh, so I spent thousands on it. Thousands.
Oh,
I mean, tower defense. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more nuance, I guess, that you can
Yeah.
do in a real,
Again,
sort of real time
I didn't
MOBA.
because it's not. Yeah, again, it's not, and that's not a co-op game.
But getting
it's
eight people.
It's kind of a co-op game from the point of view of
For the 4 people in that group,
Yeah.
yeah.
See, I would and I think team games is something we should do in a future episode.
Yeah.
because I've definitely got a few, and like some of your favorites, Captain Sonar.
maybe So this,
cetera.
or maybe we could I don't want to buy it, but someone else could buy this MOBA tabletop game, and then we could.
I
I'm
don't
just thinking.
think-
I'm thinking like, but to get 8 people super invested in like I'm assuming very asymmetric.
And very long.
Yeah,
Like the powers are like this is a game.
yeah. But like, I mean, the chances of getting. I mean, if you got a game group, and
Yeah.
I assume a huge fucking table,
Yeah.
is what you would need for this. Then I don't hate what you're saying,
No.
but I'm thinking like, wow, what a Goldilocks zone. Like
Yeah.
it would have to be the perfect day. With
I
the
think it
perfect
might
people
also
to
work
do
with
it.
like I think 8 is like ideal, but I think it might work with like
If you have like
6 or something. Where
if
it's
you
like
have, like,
maybe
a
you
peop-
just have less per team, and then
Do you have, like,
something
minions
else
and
changes. I think I can't remember how you do, but
Okay.
I think yes, because you level up and shit as well.
Oh my god. Okay.
So maybe it's for if you're already playing MOBAs with a lot of people and then you
Yeah.
go to Mökki.
I don't know. I don't.
The internet's too
Yeah.
here to connect to South
Yes.
Korea, so
I don't know why I brought this up. This has nothing to do with co-op
I
games.
kind of-
You talked about MOBAs, and then my brain went,
But-
"There's a MOBA game."
But I think there is a point about mentality about how you approach like being on a team or cooperating, because
Yeah.
like some people just want to be, I'm the leader, you should listen to me.
Yeah.
You should do this, you should do this, you should do this, because you have like this, even in a cooperative team environment, a competitive. It's like, well, I'm the best collaborator here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm the best team player. It's like, okay, I think you've misinterpreted what team playing is at this point. Also, it's a fucking game.
Yeah.
If someone wants to go to Sydney to do a shit turn, just let them do it.
Trying to like bring this back to the pandemic thing. I think the thing where I'm doing the over optimization, that's part of like this only starts making any sense if we're playing a like really hard like game of co-op game. Like it's like a pandemic game that is just constantly fighting against us. Then then everyone is kind of in that mind space and trying to like on a really good game of pandemic is everyone just kind of like scrambling constantly.
I get, yeah, but I guess it comes down to, because everything in pandemic is so open, right? There's no kind of hidden information, and there's no real like chance other than what comes out in the deck. It's very known quantities what people can do, so it's very easy to look at someone else's board and go, "You should do this,"
Yeah.
which is like either a blessing or a curse if they're a noob or not. But then it's up to people to like kind of not optimize it, because you can in pandemic. Like theoretically, you could set a pandemic for 4 people and then play you know, and without moving from your seat, play 4 people's turns.
Yeah.
Like if that's the gaming experience you really want, you can do it.
But then this is also like, because I've referred to this in a previous episode, like playing Zombicide, which is a much, much, much simpler co-op game. Have you guys played?
I've never played any of the Zombicide.
I haven't heard of Zombicide.
There's
Okay.
like a million of them
Yeah,
now.
and
It's
they're
crazy.
pretty good. Like I think they're pretty fun. Like they're quite casual, and it's really approachable. I played both the original one, and then there's a medieval one where you can play like D&D kind of like race characters, basically.
Is this the
Black Plague?
Black Plague?
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
heard
yeah.
good things about that.
I liked both, but the basic game is that you have the room setup or like the setup of the board, which always changes by scenario.
Yeah.
And then you have your character starting from a certain place, and there is a X number of zombies on the board, and you're trying to either get from one end of the map to another, or you're trying to collect some things along the way, or you're trying to kill a certain kind of big guy anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have like mildly asymmetric powers, each of the like characters you're playing, and the zombies spawn based on the things you do. Like when you open doors, there's a dice roll of how many.
Well,
like,
this is easier than less complex than Pandemic.
Yes, in many ways, because there's just like it's just you're moving on the board and there's zombies coming when you open a door.
Yeah.
It's just and then you win by accomplishing the thing you're trying to do, and you lose by getting overrun by zombies.
I think this gets away from the optimization, like the quarterbacking player, because it's dice based, right?
Yeah.
So this is why I'm trying to very cleverly segue into something else beyond this. But like now where everything in Pandemic is very procedural and you kind of know what people can do, I guess like it becomes a bit tricky now if you have to roll a dice for noise, or is it dice for attack, or you always attack or something? Do you roll for defense and stuff?
I think so, maybe, and you have different weapons you can collect from the different rooms.
Yeah,
and like
so you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah, basically. It's very random on that, but it's because it is like the same way, there's even less information available about, there's less things, then it's even easier to kind of try to like metagame it, because it's, but like you roll more dice than I do, and you're like, you can escape this situation quicker. I've also done like backseat gaming in it, but I think just because I've been playing it occasionally in very dry groups, so it's not I'm not having fun with the game itself, so I'm just kind of like optimizing the situation.
Everyone's just sitting silently going,
I mean,
oh look, a zombie.
Yeah, I mean, you can dislike any game if you play it with the wrong people.
Yeah, and I've liked them. Like I think it is an interesting way of like playing the game, and it has like it can be very stressful, and then the pressure of the game is even more obvious when you look at the board and you see that your literal characters are surrounded by 47 million zombies, and it's just like it's so visual in that.
Yeah,
you just have to like, oh no, this room is so full of zombies, I have to pile them on top of each other, and you have to go in there.
Should be fine.
Yeah.
But then you just look at that room and go, I can paint all of these zombies.
Yes.
That's the real thing. There's no fear. It's like, I'll go in and I'll paint every single one of you sons of bitches.
And also, this might not be a good bit, but I'm just like remembering the game that Mikko has, the drowning game, where it's like I cannot remember the name of the game, but like I don't think anyone has ever won a scenario of that, because it's so difficult. I remember
dying instantly every time.
Yeah,
just literally drowning. Yeah.
Which game is this?
I cannot remember the one that Mikko has, like 47 kilos of.
You talked about this like the Kickstarter game.
Yeah, it's like tens of boxes.
It has like it's something madness. I cannot, but like it's Cthulhu, like vaguely like Cthulhu-esque. Deep Madness, yes. Vaguely Cthulhu-esque.
Is it good?
I think it is, like, it has a lot of it's really thematic, it's really pretty, and the game mechanics are really interesting, and it is a really, really, really difficult cooperative game.
Yeah. I think you can, like, do all the right things and still lose.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we weren't doing like fuck about stuff, and I don't think we got past the first scenario. I mean, I think we tried like 3 times.
Yeah, I don't like. I haven't asked him in a while, but at least at one point, no one had cleared the first scenario. Like he played it with a lot of people in a lot of different situations.
So it's a real game.
I don't know, but it's difficult with the Kickstarter thing, because Kickstarter stuff is usually pretty wonky, because they don't. It tends to be more based on like minis and aesthetic. Maybe
the minis are
balancing.
Fucking phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, it looks beautiful. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
I think that was it. It's like, I go into this room and you're dead. Like,
the water is rising.
And the water. How much air have you got? Not enough.
Yeah, we know, like an hour before the game that we've already lost, and we're just gonna scrambling.
Ultra brutal.
Yeah.
Survival.
Which I think is maybe a bit overkill for a co-op game.
Yeah, but it can, like, sometimes that can be a really fun experience. Like, I've played it with really mixed groups of people, and it's been like quite successful.
I guess it just depends how like relentless you want the game. If there's no there's literally no wiggle room to do anything incorrectly, then that's really going to bring out the optimizer among you.
No, but in this case it doesn't, because it is so brutal that there's
just no way to win.
There's
That's how they get around the quarterbacking.
It seems like there's no right answer. You can just scramble and hope for the best.
No, but surely there must be like a best decision that
we
can
haven't
be
figured
made
out yet. At least, I don't know.
But someone would still see or think that that's the best decision.
The floating
and the
dead
quarterback
bodies.
person would go and then go.
And even that one doesn't have that much. I think it has some randomness, but mostly it's just like a relentless. Like
Jesus Christ.
But you wanted to make a point about something with randomness.
I was, but actually now you mentioned it, like going back to like a simplified version of a game that I think got a bit of love, but is kind of below the radar now. It's the same designer of Pandemic, and it's kind of seen as like a cut down version, Forbidden Island.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like the little tile game, and you've got to get 4
what
treasures.
am I thinking of? The
Forbidden Desert.
No, I'm thinking of this the one with lots of heads with the 3
Spirit
heads.
Island.
Spirit Island. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So this is...
I'm like, that's not cut down.
I think, because I would have brought this away at a Murky with you, I think, at some point. So you've got like 4 treasures, like there's the fire gem and the thingy.
Oh, this game.
And basically, so the same setup is that you collect cards, so you want to keep the island up. So you're treasure hunters, this is the theme. But like every turn, instead of like in Pandemic where you flip a card and disease cubes comes out, you flip a card and the tile that you're on, like the portion of the island, becomes flooded. And if it's already flooded, then it's sunk to the depths, and that piece of the island is gone forever.
I remember this.
And
It's really stressful, but also really fun.
Yeah, but it's such a cut down kind of cute version of like, and it's a real very quick game as well. Like it's a real ticking clock, because you can only get the treasures when you have certain cards, and you can only get them from certain tiles. And obviously, if the tile is over here, like way up north, and then you lose all the tiles to get there, you can't actually claim the treasure.
No.
And then you've got to between you get all 4 treasures from these locations, and then you all get back to the helipad, and then someone has to have a power card to actually get you off.
Yeah.
So that's how you win.
I remember. I think it's a good game.
I played it like yesterday or the day before with Rubes, and I was like, this is actually like really good.
Yeah.
A really good, like nice little, even a 2-player co-op game.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I'd set up Pandemic to play 2-player, but Forbidden Island, I would do it.
Should this have been the ultimate date game instead of Elder Sign?
Perhaps.
Perhaps. Maybe we didn't think about it.
I retcon it. Okay, I'll go back and I'll re-edit the episode. It's like, yeah, and I think for this one, I pick Forbidden Island. And every time...
Yeah, but like...
And then it's going to be us commenting on like, oh, well, so you rolled dice to do this. Yes, on Forbidden Island.
Just a really noticeable...
Yeah.
There it go.
Yeah. But like, I think this also has the element I mentioned in Zombicide, which is like, all of these are quite visual. You can see how fucked you are.
Yeah.
Like,
there's nothing
the
more like...
rising is amazing.
And it's like, literally like taking the board game, like the board is going smaller and smaller. You go, oh, God. You know, the sense of like ticking clock and like this sinking island, I think is like a really...
It makes it super clear that you're playing against the situation. Like it's like if there is no adversarial, like you're all in this fucked situation together and just trying to scramble to survive.
And again, you've all got little powers that can do certain things, and you can always like fly.
And it's
around
very simple, like to set up and explain the game is super easy.
But it's kind of like it kind of like scratches the same itch as Pandemic, but with so much less setup.
Yeah.
Like this is how I also like. This is a weird thing to say, but kind of this is how I kind of felt about Eclipse and Twilight Imperium. That it like there's certain things that it gave me that are scratching the same itch. Not all of the things. Like it's not giving me everything that I get in Twilight Imperium, but it gives me.
I think they're very different games.
Yes, but like scratches the same itch about like when you play a space game. The same thing, like just like scratches like Forbidden Island scratches the cooperative. We're all fucked together without being as involved as Pandemic.
I think the only reason I haven't played more Forbidden Island is because it came in a shit tin. And again, I'm really going to knock on like tin boxes. Games should not come in oddly shaped fucking tins. So when we moved, we had to throw away the tin, which means the game went into a bag. The bag went into the cupboard, and then if I don't see the fucking game, I never pull it out.
Why did you have to throw away the tin when you moved?
Because I couldn't, like, obviously limited space. We were doing games and games and games, and boxes and boxes and boxes, and like the tin
when
was
you moved to Finland.
Yes.
Oh, I thought
from my homeland, Finland.
I thought this was when you moved like within Finland. I was like, that's what I was thinking, and because that's the latest move you did, and I was like, why did you? That doesn't make any sense.
It's in the same van.
Yeah, you could have asked me to carry it.
It's like Ruby gave you exactly 3 boxes to put your games in. It's like you don't get it anymore, John. This is what you get.
Yeah, and you've met her. That she rules with an iron fist.
She does.
But yeah, and it was just like, oh, fuck it, this is gone, because it had like it had like this sort of imprinted
embossed
lid, embossed, and it was sort of like and it didn't really, and
it's
the
so
lid was
pretty.
like,
That's like literally half the reason I almost bought it at one point is because it is so pretty, the tin box.
Yeah, I love a tin box.
Look, I think you should buy it. It's just for me.
Yeah,
fucking hate games in tins.
I think it's a really good game now that I remembered what it is and that I've actually played.
It's super cute.
I've forgotten that it kind of exists, but I think it's great, and I think where Pandemic sort of I play Pandemic and I like it, but I don't kind of love it. I wouldn't like. There's always games that I would rather play. I think Pandemic ends up in a weird situation where there's games like this Forbidden Island, and then is it called Ghost Stories? The one where you're like little Buddhist monks fighting things. And there's like those kind of co-op games. And then there's like one step up in kind of complexity, kind of is like Pandemic because it's bigger. And then there's like one step more, which is like Arkham Horror and this Eldritch Horror, which is like also co-op, but it's co-op with like not more complex in a way, more like story elements or more like I don't know, like more like immersiveness. And I feel like I would rather play either the simpler ones, so Ghost Stories or Forbidden Island, or then I would, instead of Pandemic, if I want like an easier co-op game, or if I'm feeling more gamey, then I would rather play Arkham Horror or Eldritch Horror than Pandemic. So Pandemic is like in a weird middle game where I don't know why I would play Pandemic instead of Ghost Stories, Forbidden Island, or Arkham or like Eldritch Horror.
I can't really disagree with you. And I think out of all the co-op games that I've owned and played, like my favorite, I can't really explain why, but I just will always reach for Ghost Stories. And I know it's been rebranded now into this like medieval one, but like the old school like Taoist monks or Buddhist monks protecting this Chinese village. I just find it like aesthetically quite entertaining with the art of like the ghosts and the things coming out of the hills. And I just like the kind of mechanic of like collecting things and rolling dice and like, okay, I'm going to do this incredible fight and then roll dice and like, no, okay, did nothing, wasted my turn, we're screwed. And then constantly fighting this unwinnable battle.
Do you want to kind of explain the point, like the way Ghost Stories plays?
Sure. So you basically set up this kind of central village, which is based on 9 randomly distributed tiles. So each villager tile, if you're on it, gives you a certain power if you want to spend your action doing it. And then around the village in one of 4 colors, which are the 4 player colors. And I should say you probably want to play this as a full 4-player game. So there's a red side of the map, blue, green, yellow side of the map. And on your turn, you're basically the ghosts that are already on the board. So there's a kind of like what do you think, like car park spaces for ghosts, where if you have a space for ghosts, well, potentially, if you have space for a ghost, you have to draw and play a ghost. And ghosts of particular colors go in the car parks of that color. And certain ghosts have effects that happen when they come out every turn when it's the player's turn. So red ghosts go on the red player's turn. And basically when you defeat the ghost, you either get a curse or a reward. And basically what you want to do is keep these car parks free of ghosts as much as possible. I don't know why in the lore now they're car parks, but it works in my head. So you want to go around the board and fight ghosts, or for an action, use the power of the village tile that you're on. And fighting ghosts is you roll some dice that have colored sides, and each ghost will have a particular strength of a particular color. So like a weak red ghost will have 1 red dot, and a strong ghost will have like 4 red dots. That means you need to roll and have like 3 or 4 or whatever of that color to defeat the ghost. So obviously, if it's a very strong ghost, the chances of you rolling the dice to actually defeat it is very rough. So the game is, how can we move each other around? How can we use the powers of the village? How can we collect tokens that help us defeat ghosts and hold out long enough until the boss comes out, and then you defeat the boss. And you basically lose the game if you all die. You lose the game if too much of the village becomes haunted, and you lose the game if you probably other things as well. I can't remember now what it is, but but basically it's a constant battle onslaught, and I like that it does feel like a battle. I think that's the most kind of like thematic thing.
It's very compelling, and I remember we played this quite a few times, and it's just like, it's been a while now, but it's just like I remember it being very fun, and it being that kind of like cooperative and feeling like being under attack, constantly having to like scramble. But again, one that doesn't trigger the optimization instinct for some reason.
I think it's because it's so, like, you're playing with luck a lot. And, like, you go, oh, well, I'll just very easily vanquish this ghost. Because all I need to do is roll 1 red, observe, and then you throw your dice and go, 3 blue. Okay, whiffed that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you can, if you feel like you're spending your turn soaking up resources, you're not fighting ghosts. And ghosts will always come out. So if you're not killing ghosts every turn, you're basically losing the game. But also if you try and get rid of a ghost and you whiff, then that's worse than doing nothing. Because you've literally just gone like, I could have done something. I could have made it better, and I could have like got the resources to do so I think it's tricky to kind of, and you're also limited, like, so again, there's some asymmetrical powers. Like some people roll more dice in a fight. Some people can like move better. So there's people like that can go any space on the map, whereas people are more powerful but slower. There's people that can do multiple fights or multiple things, and I just kind of like the aesthetic of it, especially using Buddhas as ghost landmines.
That's the
Hashtag Buddha Boys.
hashtag Buddha Boys. And I think that is, if there is one strategy you can have in this game, it is use Buddhas.
Yeah.
If you're not using Buddhas.
Yeah, give someone, you're the dedicated Buddha boy, and you just stand there and do Buddhas.
Mm-hmm. Hey, it works.
It
works.
works. They are.
Well, it kind of works.
Because that obviously, like in real life, they're landmines. And then
that's a top tip that you know. Every Buddha statue
Yeah.
that you see is a potential landmine.
So if you
for the undead.
if you put a monster on it or a ghost on it, it instantly explodes and dies, regardless of if it's like a really tough one, and you're like, ooh, it needs like 4 blacks to do, and it's like, oh, those are hard to get, and then you just like boop, and then it's dead, and then it's gone.
Explodey. I think out of all the co-op games that I've got, and this again, like I agree with you with the pandemic. I don't know when I would pull it off the shelf compared to this, because I always go for ghost stories. I don't think like even Ruby understands why. She's like, you do like that game, I don't know, a bit too much.
It's really good. I like it as well, and it gives like a weird sense of like, I don't know, real danger.
Yeah, but it also feels like you're
like we're really like struggling. Maybe it's because maybe it's like the closed nature of it, that we're all like in this little square and like stuff is coming from all sides versus like pandemic, where it's just the world, and there's some stuff here and there that's a problem, but it's kind of okay.
But also gives you like the feeling of accomplishment that like each monster, each ghost that you kill is like, it feels like you've accomplished something, whereas in pandemic you get to
I've removed
some
2 cubes.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I think it's a bit more visceral as well. It's like, oh, I hope I don't have to roll this curse die. Could someone come and help me before I roll this curse die?
Yeah,
Because I'm gonna die. I really like it. I don't know. I need to have a look at like the
how
revamp
have they
on it.
changed their even? What have they like?
Actually,
they changed some like game.
Also, didn't we give you an expansion for some birthday or something?
I've actually never
so
played
you've
that.
never played that. That's why it's interesting to me.
Did we give you a Ghost Stories expansion?
Yeah.
What's that?
We don't know.
So it gives you like kind of an extra level below the village, but it gives you a 5th player that then runs the ghosts. So it kind of breaks the
Co-op in.
Yeah, I see why you haven't played it, and I think
because
I think we just bought it because we know how much you loved Ghost
Yeah.
Stories.
I did play it like an obscene amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you added in that someone is then kind of, you're the bad guy, like the actual big, I can't remember his name in the game, but you're like kind of controlling some things.
So it changes the game to a completely different type of game, which we could also talk about sometime. This like one versus all type,
Yeah,
Dracula,
kind of,
Fury, or whatever the game.
Yeah, Fury of Dracula. We should talk about that.
When like someone is,
I want to play that again.
When someone is the bad guy, and then everyone else starts like, it's co-op, but just against one person.
This is actually one of the advantages of doing a podcast now, that I'm actually like, actively trying to find games that I haven't played in a while. I'm like, oh yeah, that was really good. Obviously, it's the most middle-class white man thing to do, to do a podcast or even look at your own game collection. But it is true. Like, I would love to play like Fury of Dracula again.
Yeah, I have good memories of that one. And then should we also talk about the Eldritch Horror, Arkham Horror, like if this is a continuum again of 3 levels, where it's
if
like,
you really want to get into crazy town
Yeah.
stuff. So I own Eldritch Horror, but I guess this also applies to Arkham Horror, which now I think is on like 3rd edition.
I think aren't they? They're pretty similar games in terms of.
In essence,
Yeah.
I mean, the bare mechanics, kind of, yeah. It's just the theme and the degree of pulpiness, I think, is a bit different.
Okay.
Because also Mansions of Madness is kind of similar.
Oh yeah,
And the difference is that the encounters are app-based. So I think that's
like-
more scenario stuff.
I'm not a huge fan of Mansion of Madness. I know that some people really like
Have you played it?
I've played it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I haven't.
I've never
Yeah,
played it.
I like.
I keep trying to persuade Jonas, but he won't bring, like, the boxes are too huge, so he won't bring it anyway.
No one's ever been invited to his house.
Yeah,
no one's
no
ever
one
seen-
has really.
It's a
Yeah.
fortress of solitude, he calls it.
But it is 0 probability.
Yeah,
0. Like,
absolutely,
you could not do it.
Yeah, but like I do think I like Eldritch Horror and Arkham Horror more than I like Mansions of Madness.
I've never played the Arkham. I heard good stuff about Eldritch, and I got it. And then on a massive
then you got
streak.
it, and then what did you then do?
I got pretty much every small box expansion that you can get for the game. It's just crazy.
This never happens to any of us. Yeah.
I've never bought an expansion in my life.
But this is it. How dare you? How dare you ignore all these boxes and receipts that I have? But yeah, this is one of the games that like I would suggest. Like, I think from the base game you kind of need to get at least a couple of expansions. Because they went really kind of stingy, I think, in the base game. This is very Fantasy Flight, where they give you an okay game and then go, you kind of need at least 1 or 2 expansions. It's like, okay, you bastards,
but there are
I'll
games
do it.
that are like that. I would say that like Merchants and Marauders is also a game that I think that expansion for that is a must to get.
Huge call.
I
Really?
think it's a
There's
must.
a few
for it.
things. I think
What did the expansion add? The storm and shit?
Yeah, but it's contraband, for example.
Oh, fuck, no, I didn't realize that wasn't in the base game. Never mind, yes, you're correct.
sold.
Yes.
Contraband is not in the base game.
Jesus Christ, okay, yeah, fair enough.
I think that's a
Neither is
huge
the
thing.
gold ship.
No, okay,
sure.
yeah, okay, I'm with
Stuff.
you on this.
Yeah, there's
bits and bobs.
and I'm gonna say this is again completely off topic. So the version reloaded has a lot for an expansion. There's things we would never play with from it also, but it has a few core things that I think make the game just a lot.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit sweeter. I like the modular nature of it, which is not the case in Ultra
Are rumors?
That's base game.
That's base game. Okay.
Yeah. We should talk about Merchants and Marauders at some point as well.
Yeah.
Because it's
As long as we can think of
sandboxy.
another game that's like a nice
Kind of like it,
sandboxy
yeah.
thing.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Spoilers. And by working on it, I mean probably spending money on the internet to get it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But
I'll
yeah.
leave that for the future.
Oh.
Yeah, but Eldritch Horror is kind of like, I think it's...
So this is like a huge game, really, in the setup and the scope, and especially the time of it.
Yeah.
So the setup is you're going to basically pick an elder god, let's say Cthulhu or wherever from the base box. And the ticking clock in the game is something, potentially how you lose, is if the elder god wakes up and then smashes the world. And you're investigators on this world map, and there's cities, and you have to solve mysteries to stop the elder god waking up. And then fighting you against the game is scenarios, encounters you have in the game, portals opening up, and monsters kind of spawning into the world. So you're investigators with like the classic Fantasy Flight, you have certain health and certain sanity, and the game is played in kind of phases where you'll travel around on your turn, you've got a limited amount of actions, basically to like buy weapons, suit up, get tickets, get around the map where you need to be, and then kind of the flavorful bit of the game is these encounters where someone will read you a card of your location, either you're hopping through a portal to another realm of existence, or you're meeting the Pope in Rome or something, and you have to roll your skill stats. So it's again like dice heavy skill based game, whereas if you're very good at perception, you roll more perception dice. If you're very good at influence, you roll more of that, and then you roll dice to overcome these things and then get rewards or punishments if you fuck up. This is like, you punched the Pope in the face, you're now in prison.
I think that's like by far my favorite thing about the game. It's
Yeah.
like the encounters and how like deep they go and how often they're like there's a multi-level. So you first encounter the Pope and then you either say hello or punch them, and then you whiff the punch. So now something else happens, and then something else happens.
The Pope was a deep one the whole time.
Yeah. And then I like those encounters a lot.
It's
For,
very
like,
story.
bringing-
Like
yeah.
it breaks down this sort of like the. I mean, you could try and play it as a strategic kind of game, but my god,
It is
the
so
amount of-
thematic and
doesn't-
so
it doesn't
storytelling
work.
based, and like so
Yeah.
much of it is just like about this story that you're telling together. And, so
and
much, like,
the story is also very fucking random. Like weird shit can happen. So if you're fine with that, then it's like you'll be in Shanghai and then you'll go to a nightclub and be stabbed by someone. You'll be like, well, I didn't know that was going to happen. It's like, well, that's just the card that you drew at this point.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like. Because I remember having games where I think one where I was like playing a socialite in Shanghai, and all I did was go from Shanghai to the Himalayas, fail to do a mission, go back to Shanghai, Himalayas, back to Shanghai, and then got arrested, and then did nothing for the rest of the game because I was in prison and I could not get out. Meanwhile, everyone else is saving the world. Like someone is in the sea punching Cthulhu in the face. I'm like,
I remember this game.
I'm in prison. I can't get out.
I am not charismatic enough
Yeah,
to talk myself out of here.
I can't talk myself out of prison.
Which is funny because you were the socialite,
Yeah,
but you
it didn't-
just kept failing the role.
But I am terrible with dice.
Yeah.
This is a fact that is just so prevalent with me. I remember a game where you were a musician and you were like lost in space and time,
Yeah.
and then you fell back through a portal, bringing with it like 5 monsters with you, and you just managed to stand up before they gutted you at that point. I was like, wow, what a journey that trombone player has been on in this 1920s hellscape. But yeah, the game is like very,
But I think-
story, very theme, very schlock, very
But
pulpy.
I think even that game where I got lost in time and space and kept like popping in and out of the portal and then finally came back with all the monsters died and unleashed them on you, I think you still won the game in the end without my presence. But I think it's I think
it's
in
crazy.
Ultra Horror I get a new character if I die. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
also
yeah.
like, and I became a mafioso or whatever, and it was
You can die. It just basically dying in the game speeds up the clock. Like the Doom track for the god waking up is kind of the downside to dying is you speed up the god awakening.
But it's good to have like in cooperative games, even if there is death and even there is high stakes, it's nice to be able to come back to the game because that's in some
Yeah,
games you're
yeah.
kind of like you end up in not being in the game anymore.
Like in Nemesis. as another kind of swinging segue, which is kind of let's say semi-co-op at the most.
Yeah,
thing.
because I think Nemesis has to be one of the more like in the semi-adversarial ones.
Yeah.
Because again, my only real memory of Nemesis is me pushing your character who was in a wheelchair into a room full of fire and monsters and throwing a grenade in there.
Yeah, teamwork.
Because you tried to kill him, or
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
I was like, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure Iita's trying to kill me.
It's very perceptive of
There
you.
were subtle clues.
Yeah.
And
I think
I whiffed it.
It was the fire and the grenade. I can't even remember. I was like, God damn it.
The brood mother on fire. The room had the brood mother. It was
Oh
on
my
fire,
God.
and I like rolled your wheelchair in it, and I threw a grenade in, and you didn't die, and it was really awkward from there on.
Unkillable. Unkillable.
It's super awkward when you just throw a grenade at someone and they don't die.
Yeah,
I hate when that happens.
It's actually a bit rude.
Yeah.
You know, it's a
For
bit
them
rude
not
that
to
that
die.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had to explain to everyone else, no, it's fine. It just
I was
accidentally happened.
I was trying to kill the brood mother. Don't worry about it.
Just collateral damage.
Yeah. You know how it is. You know how it is. Life on a spaceship. Anyway, going back to Eldritch, I love it. You cannot take it to a pub. The
No.
setup is insane.
Yeah, I know.
It is.
It's insane. And
And
if you got like
especially
the
tear
big box,
down, like after
Oh
the
my
game,
God.
like
It's,
cleaning up.
it's minus a million.
minus a million
probability.
probability. And I will say my only dislike for the game is that it maybe goes on an hour and a half too long.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Which
That
is
might also be us.
It is.
I don't know.
Because I mean, we play all games kind of slowly, but it is a long game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't think it would need to be
No.
this long.
Quite long. No,
I don't know how to if I could look around and like house rule kind of speeding it up.
Yeah.
I think I would, because like some of it is just
At some point,
relentless.
you just start feeling like,
Like,
it has
yeah,
to be.
For
like,
some
I
of
like
the
the story.
monsters, you have to solve like 3 mysteries until
those
they're
are
killed.
so
And
slow.
then it's like we've spent 3 hours doing the first mystery, and then we just stop it at that one. And when we do that, we're just, all right, so we just say that we won or something because we've done a third of the game, and
Yeah.
it's past midnight, and we're all tired.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
because-
like all our characters are smashed up. We haven't got anything. It's like, oh, it disappeared in that portal.
Yeah, and it's not even that like
It's a
because we
long-ass
are
game.
okay with really long games
Yeah.
sometimes, but
Yeah.
it's not like I don't want to play 12 hours of Eldritch Horror.
No,
It's
no,
like
no.
a game can be long, but there needs to be a reason for it to be that long.
Yeah, and it feels a bit extra.
And I guess you could, like, we could play it faster, but I think then if we play it faster,
It's
we
not as
lose,
fun,
like, the
yeah.
schlock and the pulp. Because I like the dramatic kind of,
Yeah.
I'm going to read. Because
I'm
you
gonna read
never
the
read it.
entire thing, and I'm gonna read it in character. Like you do really good voices when you're reading them, and like
Well,
just
of course,
yeah.
of course. But I like that. Like, everyone reads cards for other people, right? So you don't know what the outcome, if you succeed or fail a roll, might be. And I kind of like that. I like that sort of, like, dramatic thing. It's like, oh, I'm in this city. What's going to happen?
And we're all listening to the person reading the card, and all
Yeah.
listening to the person trying to solve this thing that's happening. It's just very like
But yeah, I think that's the juice for me, is this, like, kind of really schlocky
Yeah,
kind of almost
same.
story thing about it. And then just seeing, like, even if and again, I don't really get salty at Eldritch Horror if I'm doing really badly, because it's almost like hilarious, because you can like get like, so I'm in 3 different types of debt. I'm poisoned 4 times. I've got a head injury. Like, you can collect like negative things, and every time I rest, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to roll for my hallucinations. No, I'm still hallucinating. All right, I'm going to roll for my broken leg. No, I've still got a broken
it's still
leg.
broken. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, God. Meanwhile, everyone else is like, yeah, I've got 4 shotguns. I've got this holy water. My ally is the Pope. It's just nice to have these kind of discrepancies of like, how's your poisoning and broken leg, Tom? It's like, yeah, I'm doing super well over here.
I've got PTSD, and I've been stuck in a prison for the last 3 hours.
I've
It's
been
fine.
I've been arrested by the Chinese authorities. Good luck with the Elder God thing. Thoughts and prayers. But I love that kind of disparity, that not everyone is just tooling up. Like, you can just have a really rough time. But I find that kind of as entertaining as if I was just smashing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh God. It's just I just find the humor of having like a really banged up character in the game just
Yeah.
endlessly fun.
Especially
for
if
me.
you're like a fucking nun somewhere, and just like you're the nun in the Chinese prison trying to talk herself out of it, and you're just whiffing it. And
Yeah.
then sometimes you like need to go like you have the absolute worst odds, but then your nun with the brass knuckles that she
yeah,
inexplicably
and you just
has,
roll like a champion.
yeah, just kills the massive demon.
Yeah,
just with
there's snatching victory from the jaws of defeat, but there's also snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Every time it's like, I'm rolling 9 dice to attack. Oh, none. I'm like, fuck. I'm taking a lot of hits. Like, you can't just spend your time like giving this one person like the most incredible arsenal in the world,
Yeah.
and then it just comes down to a dice roll. Like,
and then completely whiff it. Like we literally just genuinely rolling an incredible handful of dice
Yeah.
and just not.
Just standing at the precipice of an abyss, looking into a hellmouth with a shotgun and holy water, go, I'll kill you all, and then go, whoa, and then just dropping the shotgun and then pissing yourself. It's like, oh no, Larry. The fate of the world was on the line and you've whiffed it.
Yeah, but I think that's also things that maybe not all groups add into games of like we make up these scenarios of like, oh, I've got my holy water and my shotgun and I've accidentally now pissed myself instead and I slip in my own piss and then hit my head and that's why I have
Let's
to
get the
mention.
head injury.
It's like we do that versus other people would just go like,
but those
Yeah.
people
I
wouldn't
failed.
be fun to play Eldritch Horror with.
I
think.
don't think it's a dry. I mean, I name all my allies. It's like, oh, now I've got an author with me. Come on, Stephen Kang.
Yeah.
Let's just go around the world, not saving anything.
This is also, I think, the most stories have come from this one now. Because it's like because
I
there
think
is
it does.
memorable. There's
lots
so
of-
many
there's
memorable.
so many
moments.
memorable things.
But it's not. I mean, it's definitely not winning or losing because we never
No.
fucking end the
No,
game.
we never. But I don't think that it's a weird game where it doesn't matter that we don't finish it. 'Cause
Yeah,
we just
I'm like-
we just play for fun and then we
End it.
try not to die and then we stop it when we're all tired of playing.
We're like, Jesus Christ.
All
Yeah.
look at each other being like, so it's still like,
Yeah.
like it's gonna be like another 4 hours maybe.
Yeah.
when we do this. Now.
I feel like I'm dragging it down because I never succeed any of my roles, even
Yeah.
for like the things that help win the game. So
Yeah.
I'm like, someone else is going to have to do that. I'm afraid I can't roll. Can't roll for shit. It's like there's a cup on the ground. Can you pick it up?
Yeah.
No.
No,
Failed the mystery.
I have somehow opened a portal to a different dimension, and there's now more monsters in here because I tried to pick up a cup. Yes.
Whoops. Yeah, that's usually
Yeah.
my sort of my story in Eldritch Horror. But I really love it. It's a crazy game. I bought like the like a big box expansion now, like the Under the Pyramids one. So there's like a sideboard. This game is now huge.
It
Like,
was already unpoppable, and now it's just insane.
It's barely
does
it's
it-
barely homeable.
Yeah.
Does it need a sideboard?
It does if you go to Egypt because you can go to the, like Giza and the bent pyramids because certain gods like draw you
Yeah,
to Egypt.
yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
So can you actually fit that on your table at the moment? with
Barely. I've played it as a
was-
2-player with Rubes, as like a
Yeah.
4-player. Also, the absolute joke that they say this can go up to 8 players.
Oh,
Can you fucking imagine?
no.
No, it would
Huge-
take forever.
huge game.
If you're playing this above 4, good luck. You should not play it.
Yeah.
I think 3 or 4.
And with 8, it is unplayable in the way we would play it.
No,
It
I
would,
don't
you
think
would
you
have
can
to
do it.
play it in a really boring way.
Yeah, but
I
also
don't
like
do it.
I mean, I don't even think you could play it because your downtime would be insane
Huge.
between turns.
Yeah.
where would you even like? And also, I'm just thinking of the like physical you'd have to
You're
rent
so
a room.
shocked. You
Yeah.
Like you'd have to rent a meeting space for.
yeah, you would need like a medieval banquet
Yeah.
table, I think, to actually like.
Well, I
do
don't know.
it.
Does it require that much more space than like TI for 8 people though, which we also play at people's
Ooh.
houses?
I don't know. It would be on par
Yeah,
because an 8-player map as well, 8 boards. I don't know.
it's a lot.
Either way, barely homeable.
Don't play it with 8. Play something else if
Yeah.
you have 8 people.
I think
Maybe
so.
the MOBA game.
Yeah, maybe.
if you
You've
can
got
get
some friends
enough
that really
people to
really
really want to
invested
get
in
into it.
Yeah. Oh my god.
No, if you have 8 people, you should play Detective Club.
That's the take-home missions.
No,
If you've got 8 players, don't play like a huge,
Yeah.
in-depth story board game that, but even for us, when we don't finish it, takes 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's with 4 players.
Yeah, that's some solid gaming advice that you get from us.
Or you can play Twilight Imperium with 8 people, take 16 hours, still not finish the game, and just be absolutely shattered for 2 days afterwards.
I realize that only works because I had 2 tables.
Yeah.
Like I had to literally move in a table to fit that in.
Yeah, I think
my
we're doing
God.
6 people now at the next game, so it's
I
gonna be
think
good.
so.
Yeah,
Because we're doing base TI4, which
yeah
only
I
goes
promised
up
to host.
6.
Yeah,
I was gonna. Who's into that? Let's have a chat. Maybe afterwards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
maybe afterwards.
But yeah, it's the opposite of a cooperative game.
I mean, yeah. it's war. It's got war in Latin in the motto of the game.
Yeah.
So
There's this cool, well, this is a side point, but I can't remember what it was called. I was trying to Google it, but there's this, I think it's on Kickstarter. It's like, there's a space station that's crashing, and we're all on the space station, and that's like a huge...
this is super new though.
Yeah, it's super new, and it's like a huge game where you can play with lots of people. That's like mega complex. But my one thing that made me interested in the game is that one character you can be is you're a mouse with telekinetic powers, and you're just in a little cage. So the only way you can move is by influencing other people to make them carry you around and do stuff. And I was like, that sounds super cool.
That sounds okay.
I want to do that.
Or is that the one cool thing in an otherwise very dry game?
Maybe because people say it's like some people say it's kind of impossible to play.
Okay.
Because there's so much. There's so many rooms that you can do everything in.
Okay, wow.
And it's insane. But it looks cool. And I want to be a telekinetic mouse that telepathically tells people to move me around.
Interesting.
If that was a board game, I'd play it.
Telepathic Mouse, the
Yeah.
board game. I mean, yeah, we can Kickstarter it. Raise a few million. All right, so I guess we've now tackled the Cthulhu mythos in a cooperative way and chatted about some other co-op-y kind of games, pros, cons, feelings, etc. You know, just the red-hot opinions that you expect from us.
Yeah, the thing you tune into this podcast for, I think they got all of it.
Yeah, we always stay on the rails.
Yeah.
You know, we never deviate.
Yeah.
We talk about the facts and describe the games as dryly as possible. That's our brand.
Yeah.
And I'm proud that we do that every week without completely fucking it up.
That's true.
It's kind of weird taking us this long to get into co-op games because we are all we all care bears. Like it's a fact. Like
We're all hugging right now.
Actually, I realized that I don't own a single co-op game.
Says a lot about you.
I've been thinking
Says a
about
lot
that
about
now, and I don't own a single co-op game, and I definitely should own one or several.
I think the Cthulhu one that I own is a co-op game, but it's been so long since I've played it.
Death May Die.
Death May Die. Yeah.
But if I bought a co-op game right now, I think it would be Ghost Stories, because out of all of the games we talked about today, and otherwise it's the best sort of hits the sweet spot of.
Yeah, I just vibe with it.
It's not too impossible to play.
I still want to play more Pandemic, but I get why it doesn't come out very often.
To be honest, I would play Pandemic.
Yeah.
It's just I don't reach for it off the shelf. I think that's the point.
I don't dislike Pandemic. I just think that there are
Maybe we should just play more Forbidden Island.
There are better games
Desert.
that do the things in different ways that are just all of them better than Pandemic. I think Pandemic is like almost like a gateway game, but it's like the co-opiness of like the simple co-opiness of it.
It could be that I actually want to play Forbidden Island or like Eldritch Horror.
Very different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, I know, but it could. I'm accepting that it might be that it's not Pandemic that I want to say co-op game, and it's just I haven't decided which one of those I want to play, and it could be that either of those would be the better option.
So I think the final hot take, maybe not off board with Finns, but at least for me, is that maybe Pandemic isn't the best co-op game. There are better ones that do the same thing, but better from both sides of what you would like.
But it might be the best, like the legacy game.
I was going to say, my hot take to your hot take is that you guys definitely need to play season 1.
Yeah,
Pandemic.
we talked about we should do it.
Because but I think that will add also more like that as like stories and stuff that you sort of build up. And
it's a lot more
that
flavor.
adds a completely different. That's almost a completely different game from just regular Pandemic. Like
yes and no.
I mean, it's the same.
I will
mechanics.
let you discover it. Yeah, the mechanics.
But like the game itself is.
But it adds all the things that Simon was saying are missing in Pandemic that Eldritch Horror has. Like just
story, dry, and like character development stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think you guys should.
Should
pick it up at some point.
That is true.
But anyway, on that bombshell of hopeful gaming with stuff that we don't have.
If Iita starts getting into board games at some point,
if she ever just gets off her ass and just buys or plays one board game,
any game at this point,
then hope springs eternal.
Tic-tac-toe, anything.
Yeah, just give it a go, and she refuses. She slaps the pencil out of your hand. I'll never play a game, never. And on that horrible bombshell. Again, I will say goodbye. It is goodbye from me.
It is a farewell from me.
It is also a goodbye from me.
All right, goodbye from us all here. Goodbye. Bye.